chair in his library, smoking a pipe. That's my dream. Not really, but that'd be pretty cool. So, this first video we're going to kind of cover the ground foundation of Overwatch, where it came from, and how it leads us to current day in game. So, currently in game, it's about 60 years in our future here on Earth. But the story starts about 30 years in the future from current day, which is really neat and different for a Blizzard universe game. So, basically, they made huge advancements in robotics, teleportation, healing, nanotechnology, armor, all that stuff. And in the division of robotics, they developed these truly sentient artificial intelligence. And the main goal of these robots, or omnics as they're called in the universe, was factory production. And for a long time, the people like humans and omnics lived peacefully, and it was great. But because these robots contained true artificial intelligence, they started to people think a bit and plot, which kind of led to the first Omnic crisis, when these evil, they were kind of evil, Omnics decided to start building an army of Omnics that would follow in their quest, very much for world domination. It's like Pinky and the Brain. Wonder if they're behind it. They're not. A different universe. Or is it? Anyway, so they developed these Omnics, and then at the time, these individual countries could not sustain the threat and damage coming from the Omnics. So the United Nations had to do something. So they got Gabriel Reyes, who you might know as Reaper, before he was Reaper. That's for another video though. And they started to assemble a team, and he recruited Jack Morrison, who you guys know as Soldier 76, before he went all Batman voiced. And they essentially recruited some of the top people in the world. Now, this part I will have to read because I can't remember everyone's names, but let's see. There's Jack Morrison, Gabriel Reyes, Reinhard Wilhelm, Anna, Gerard Lacroix. My French is not so good. But fun fact, Gerard was Widowmaker's husband. Again, for another video, but Widowmaker's story is very interesting and tragic. But he was her husband, and with a name like Widowmaker, you can guess why was used there. So yeah, Torbjorn Lindholm, Reinhard Wilhelm, Anna Amari, and Liao. Now, not too sure about Liao. There's very little information about him, or actually I don't even know if it's a guy or a girl. crisis. That was the goal of the United Nations and the goal of Overwatch. They started to expand their recruitment to some of the heroes that you see today. So that's all great. They have this great team of people. They essentially stop the Omnic crisis, which is freaking dope. Which, if you can't tell, this is off the cuff. I find it better than just reading a website, which you could do. It's my own interpretation, so bear that in mind. And it goes so many different ways that we gotta try to stick to one topic. So they defeat the Omnic crisis. Everyone's happy. Overwatch is praised. Everyone loves them. They're like superheroes, essentially. And if you've seen the very first video that we ever saw, the very first short for Overwatch that they played at BlizzCon, you can kind of see the feeling that the kids had towards the team Overwatch. They loved it. Like, they loved Overwatch. And Overwatch continued on to defeat other terrorist organizations and just improve the world so that people, it's kind of like almost their goal is to make it like the Federation almost in Star Trek, if you're familiar with that. Specifically Star Trek TNG. That's the only one I know really well. By the way, this is Hawk Sauce by Mount Baker Vapor, in case you were wondering. Back to Overwatch. So they do all that. Everyone loves them. Media starts to be media and get, pick them apart. But at the same time, Jack Morrison, or Soldier 76, he kind of made the core foundation of Overwatch and the structure to the team, whereas Gabriel Reyes was the original. So Jack Morrison got promoted to commander of Overwatch, and Gabriel Reyes, Reaper, was not too pleased with that, which is kind of a dick move. Both their part on Soldier's level, Morrison's level, for taking a lot of the credit when Gabriel Reyes was equally responsible. Couldn't have one without the other. Wouldn't have Overwatch without them both, really. So that happened, and that caused a lot of turmoil between the two, and started kind of an internal civil war. That's being a bit dramatic, but it's kind of true. Like in the Marvel Universe Civil War, everyone was, there was sides taken and all of that. So it kind of all came down to a boiling point. Morrison and Reyes were very known for lashing out against each other at this point. And it was in their Swiss headquarters that an explosion happened. Huge explosion. And it was thought that both Morrison and Reyes died in the explosion. The media started to push that it could have been, or that it was, or what's that term that they used, or that the media likes to use, not supposedly, allegedly, was closed that it was accidental. Explosion was accidental. Now, what we know now is that, well, they didn't permanently die. Morrison is still alive as Soldier 76, and Gabriel Reyes is alive as Reaper. But Gabriel Reyes, he was resurrected, healed, essentially. But we'll cover that in Reaper's video. And so yeah, Overwatch kind of got disbanded, and people started siding with the media, though there were still a whole bunch of people that thought Overwatch was fantastic and was, you know, like the bright, shining knight of the world. But as media do, they really started to cast a shadow over Overwatch. Yay, media. Now the next part kind of brings us to more present day. Overwatch was deemed an illegal group, was disbanded, and was prevented from reforming officially, legally. And if you've seen the short that came out with Reaper and Winston, that's when Winston calls everybody back to Overwatch that's available. And because the world is kind of gone to shit, there's a lot of terrorist organizations like Talon that Widowmaker is a part of. Gabriel Reaper. So there's all this backgrab happening. There's Titan attacks happening, which are essentially gigantic omnics that have super sensory, and they can detect like everything, and they just kill it. So Overwatch gets called back by Winston, and that kind of takes us to now. There is a bunch of other stuff that kind of stems out from this. There's a bunch of different companies involved. There's so much lore to cover, so I figured we'd lay the groundwork of how Overwatch came to be before we started diving into more specific topics. So, kind of a Cliff Notes version, TLDR. World's gone to shit because Omnics are smart. They tried to overthrow the world. Yuan gets pissed. They assemble a team called Overwatch, led originally by Gabriel Reyes or Reaper, and then Jack Morrison or Soldier 76. They beat the Omnic Crisis. Jack Morrison takes all the credit. Reaper gets pissed at Jack Morrison. Gabriel Reyes gets pissed at Jack Morrison. And they fight. There's a big old explosion in their Swiss headquarters. And Overwatch is eventually put in the doghouse and disbanded and mandated to not form again. Then the war goes to shit again, and Winston's like, "Yo guys, we should get the group back together and play some sick jams us to current day. It's a very, very interesting story, and I love Blizzard's goddamn storytelling. Oh my god. And with this universe in particular, how they're releasing it in little snippets is very cool. So, moving forward, I would love for you guys to let me know what you would like to see next. I kind of want to do this as, at the end of every video, I'd like you guys to vote on who or what you'd like to see next for the lore video. So yeah, let me know what you'd like to see next. If you'd like to see a character, an event, anything like that, and we can dive deep into that. That'll be real fun. Okay? So, good luck to you all in Overwatch. I hope you get many plays of the game.